Here we are, week 6.
We in it.
Um, let's jump right into these games. Tampa Bay and Philly on Thursday night.
Oh my God.
Like Tampa Bay's unstoppable. Leonard Fournette is a surefire start every week now. Like there is no Ronald Jones on this team.
And Philly's so bad.
Philly's offense is really bad. I don't know what kind of play calling was going on there. I don't like 26 pass attempts for Hurts. He had 10 attempts on the ground. Scored twice, obviously. I don't know why they didn't throw the ball more against Tampa Bay. It's just weird. So I guess Manny Sanders got 9 touches, but that was about it. From the backfield, there was no Kenneth Gainwell going on. He had a few targets, but that was it. Didn't turn into much. Just weird game plan for Philly. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So obviously, I mean, a very perplexing game plan. Frustrating if you had Devonte Smith or Miles Sanders. But this is just why quarterbacks like this are not fair. Because Hurts comes in, he has an objectively bad game, and somehow gets there with like 23, 24 points.
Yep.
While throwing for 100 yards. Kind of insane there. But I mean, this is just Philly's offense. Hurts is going to be startable every week. Sanders will get there with volume, but I mean, his floor is this, and he's been at his floor like multiple times now. Devonte Smith is going to be playable, but I mean, with such perplexing play calling and lower passing volume and efficiency, I mean, it's going to be hard for him to get there too. But I mean, yeah, this was just a pretty shitty game for Philly overall.
Yeah, like to see more, but it is what it is, and we got more of the same from the Buccaneers. At least we know what we're gonna get with them. Just a lot of Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's I think he might be leading the league in fantasy points right now at quarterback, or at least top 5 for sure.
And so I mean, when Brady's throwing 42 times, everyone's going to get there. I mean, Godwin and Evans don't have great games, but of course, O.J. Howard, which we all predicted, comes through with almost 20 points. A.B. gets there. I mean, like we've been saying all year, it's going to be a revolving door with these receivers. One of them is probably going to have a bad game, but you can't say any of them because they're all capable of doing what A.B. did here. I mean, just start your Bucks. I mean, it's pretty much been the same story, but they're all studs. I mean, like you were saying, Fournette, just every week start now. He gets 22 carries, and he catches 6 balls, 2 touchdowns. Just a monster game from Fournette. Wow, impressive overall.
Very much. It's it turned into one of the safest positions in fantasy right now. When going into draft season, like this backfield was one that was full of question marks and one you want to kind of shy away from, but it's turned into something very reliable.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate that it is Leonard Fournette, but I'd rather have one guy than none of them. So I mean,
yep.
At least we're getting that. And then at the end of the day, if you're producing points, it doesn't matter what your name is. So I mean. Go ahead. I don't know if you can trade for Fournette, but it pretty much looked like Ronald Jones is going to be a non-factor, which is perplexing. But I mean that's the case. So if the Leonard Fournette owner is a Jones truther, I wouldn't be too scared to go out and get Fournette now because I mean we're gonna get more of this. He's the starting running back on an incredible offense that's gonna be ahead in a lot of games. So you can see this a lot from now on out.
Pretty much. From the Eagles side, you have any interest in Quez Watkins? He's steadily being used as the deep threat in this on this team. Rager had a few deep shots as well, but I think he only had 3 targets total and didn't come up with any of them.
It's tough when your quarterback is scoring 2 touchdowns on the ground and only throwing 20 times, 26 times. With not much efficiency. I mean, outside of Devonte Smith, I don't have any interest. And I mean, Dallas Goedert, cause Ertz is gone, Dallas Goedert is gonna be solid. But I mean, outside of Devonte Smith, I don't have any interest in pass catchers. What about you?
Just from a dynasty standpoint, if he's still pretty young, I think.
Oh yeah, he's I think he's rookie this year, or no, last year he was rookie out of like
Sixth
a really
round,
small school.
sixth round pick, born in '98, so he's 23, 24 at
Um,
most.
what school is he from? A very like Alabama, like something
Uh,
Southern maybe. I don't know. I forget.
Southern Miss.
So okay, yeah, I know it's Southern, but yeah, he had a interesting profile. He was beating up a bunch of like smaller competition. Very fast. Big skinny type that should just burn the defense. I mean, like, and you see that, and like he's obviously a very competent field stretcher. He actually
Right.
beat out John Hightower from Boise State for that role. So I mean, obviously in Dynasty he's appealing. I mean, this is an ascending quarterback, ascending offense. He's a good talent. But I mean, in season long, I just shy away from all Eagles besides Goddard and Sanders and
Agreed. Yeah, just
obviously
from
yeah.
he kind of just reminded me of like a Marvin Jones prototype
Right.
when I was watching the game. So interesting to me in that regard. What about the OJ Howard breakout? You know, six receptions and the score. Is this something that you want to trust going forward? You even going to bother, or is this just like a flash in the pan game?
I want to see Gronk healthy because I think Gronk is gonna be doing a lot of this actually this
Yep.
year. So if Gronk isn't there, go ahead and play OJ Howard. But if someone dropped Gronk, I'd pick him up 100%, because he's gonna be top 6, 7, I believe, going forward. Like when he's healthy, and so yeah, whoever's being tight end for this team is startable, and it's probably gonna be Gronk going forward instead of OJ Howard. So
There you go. Miami and Jacksonville, the London game.
the Jags won for the first time in 20 games.
20-game streak broken. Got the dub.
wow.
Robinson with another touchdown.
James Robinson.
Lawrence throws for over 300, has a touchdown of his own. Tua had a great game, 47 attempts, 329 yards, 2 touchdowns. Had a pick in there, but a lot of Jalen Waddle. He was, rightfully so, his favorite target. And then Gasicki just, is now steady. We can say he's steady with Tua too. Maybe he just worked his way into the offensive coordinator's favor, and he's getting his number called.
Yeah, Gasecki 115 and 8. Waddle 10 for 70 and 2.
Yeah.
Miles Gaskin, off of his heroic effort last week, 5 carries for 9 yards and 2 catches for 5 yards. Just perplexing overall. But I mean, this goes to show, if any team is going to throw almost 50 times, they're going to have relevant players.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all a numbers game, and this is why you don't want pass catchers like from the Browns, because they're a great offense objectively, but they don't throw enough. But I mean, obviously going forward, Gasecki, he's right up there. Waddle's probably startable because he's been in this like I mean, this is a niche reference, but like freshman year Rondale Moore role, like at Purdue, where he's just like getting like designed runs, but they're like screenplays. Like they just want to give him the ball. So yeah, I mean, like outside of those two, I don't have any interest. I mean, like keep your eye out for Gaskin, but he's looking like a boom or bust play. But I mean, Gasecki and Waddle just looking like starts pretty much every week right now.
What I can say about Gaskin is he had 3 drops in the passing game, like 3 balls off his hands, and I think at least one of those 3 were in the red zone, like near the 10-yard line. So that's something of note. And then Waddle, the few missed targets that he had were deep downfield, which you like to see as well. I think he's just going to be. Well, I mean, again, this was no Preston Williams and no Devontae Parker, so it'll be something to see if there's more guys on the field. No Will Fuller either. So I don't know, but as long as if Waddle's the only show in town, he's not going to be. He's going to be still hard to cover, especially with Gasecki. I mean, they're both. I don't know. It worked out really good for the Dolphins. I think that they should. Yeah. A lot of Waddle.
Do you have any thoughts on this running attack where we have 3 running backs getting 5+ carries and all of them kind of suck?
It's just one that I wanted to avoid in the first place because I thought that I just don't see Myles Gaskin as like a trustworthy fantasy asset on a team with another new offensive coordinator. So. And then with the free agent acquisition of Malcolm Brown, like it makes you wonder how they're going to use him, and it's just something that when there's that many question marks and like any like kind of or that many possibilities of outcomes, I just stay away. So that's why like if I said last week off of Gaskin's big performance, you want to sell him. You're not buying that guy. You're just selling him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. So moving on to Jacksonville. Like, well, once again, it's always so like I'll explain this like once like get to the Cowboys, but it's always a numbers game. It's pass attempt because like you can't be good at fantasy without volume. So Lawrence throws 41 times, and that leads to big games from Jones Jr., Chenault, Jamal Agnew, J-Rob gets in there with some catches. Just like, so what are your thoughts on Lawrence looking decent? I mean, J-Rob, like anything overall here for the Jags?
I picked up Lawrence to play him after the bye because Lamar Jackson is going to be on his bye.
Yeah.
So that right there tells you that I trust him enough to stick in there on a bye. I don't see him as a weekly start, but he's certainly streamer worthy. You know, I don't want to play him against Pittsburgh. I don't want to play him against Buffalo or some of these other tough matchups, but you know, Lamar I'll play against anybody.
Oh, of course, yeah. So like, I mean, looking at the distribution now, we had Marvin Jones getting a big game. Chenault with a big game. Agnew, like, is it just the same thing going forward with no Chark, where it's like you can play Chenault and Jones in good matchups, but you're not comfortable? Do you have any interest in Agnew, Dan Arnold, like anybody like that, or is it just kind of same old, same old?
I find Agnew interesting because he kind of like worked his way onto the field, and he's like playing with like a lot of grit right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he, you know, he's got moves because he's a kick returner guy, and he just was he had a few deep targets that he just barely didn't come up with. So I think that he might be trustworthy, particularly in good matchups like this one where they had no Xavier Jones and no Byron.
Yeah, and so like, if there is a matchup, and this is a rare matchup because it's such a bad team, but if there is a competitive game where the Jags are going to throw a lot, I mean, you could definitely do worse than Agnew, because this guy, he does have big playability as a punt returner. So I mean, his 45 targets are not, they're not holding the same weight as a guy like Cole Beasley, where you're like, oh, like that's like 7 points. Like Agnew could like house one of those. So he's solid. And once again, I mean, Jones Jr. has been startable his entire career. He always finds a way to do it. I mean, Marvin Jones is that guy. If he's a good matchup playing, because he has this upside every week, and he'll do it more often than not because he's kind of a stud. Chenault is kind of in the mold of a Jalen Waddle right now, where he's just kind of getting like manufactured balls. And I mean, it shows here. His ceiling isn't super high because he isn't getting a lot of A-dot. But I mean, those like short underneath routes like Percy Harvin roll. He's that guy right now. So
there you go. And yeah, I just want to say about Marvin Jones, his touchdown was like quintessential or classic Marvin Jones touchdown. Just a jump ball that he high pointed over the guy and did a nice little toe tap in the end zone and got 6, just like he's been doing for years.
Oh my God, Stick. So okay, you the answer is no. I'm asking anyways. Have you seen the Tanner Morgan to Chris Bell touchdown from the Nebraska game in Minnesota?
No.
Holy fuck. I'll show you like afterwards. But this man, so Tanner Morgan, 25-year-old man, completely bald, bizarre. But he's rolling out to his left, right, and he feels the pressure. He's at home. It's a tight game. He isn't throwing well. We're just running the ball down Nebraska's throat. He throws it in the end zone. It's literally like Russell Wilson to Tyler Lockett Monday Night Corner, but like a little bit worse. But like he throws this shit, and I'm in like the student section. I see this happening. And I'm like, there's no chance, because he needs to get it over the linebacker, over the DB that's like here, and then like there's like a guy like on his hip, right? So he throws it in the corner. It's fucking. I'll show you. It's beautiful. I don't know why I said that, but it was really cool. Anyways, James Robinson put together another good game. It's looking like RB1 season is upon us once again. He's just getting fed the ball. He catches the ball. He scores. I mean, what are your thoughts on the running back on the worst team in the league?
I mean, he did it last year. Why not do it again? He's got a better quarterback now. So It's only going to help the offense. It's only going to create a few more scoring opportunities. At least, like, they're going to be down in games. He can get garbage time catches. Yeah, he's just kind of another good asset. Second year in a row.
Yeah.
Love it.
I mean, okay. So J-Rob, let's do a little game here. Would you rather have Nick Chubb or J-Rob rest of the season? Considering Nick Chubb's probably gonna miss next week.
Yeah, J-Rob, because he's the only one in the backfield now, and he's shown that he can stay healthy where Chubb is again missing time.
Josh Jacobs.
Oh, easily J-Rob.
Jonathan Taylor.
Taylor over J-Rob.
Yep. Well, so who's the closest comparable player in your mind to a guy like J-Rob? Like, is he like top 15, top 10, top 12?
He's top 10. I would say he's most comparable to, like, I would put him above Antonio Gibson, who's actually falling out a lot, even more so than he has the last couple of weeks, right?
Been saying, yep.
Who else? Who's in that range?
Yeah, who is
he's like firmly in that 7-8 range. Like he's like overtaken Nick Chubb's spot, like right outside the top 5-6.
And like, honestly, with the volume, like looking last year, it's hard to disagree. I mean, he's gonna be a plug and play because like this is irreversible. Once you're the starting running back on a new team and you're the young guy, it doesn't reverse. Like there's no world where his job is taken at any point, and so he's just gonna get all this volume and it's gonna be great. But you're gonna move on to the next game.
Yes, Green Bay and Chicago.
Green Bay and Chicago. Alrighty.
I mean, Chicago is just still that you just don't know what you really. I guess you're gonna get Darnell Mooney as long as Fields is on the field. He's showing him that he'll throw to him because I guess he creates more separation. Maybe it's like a Tua and Waddle situation.
Yeah.
From that perspective,
Robinson with his best game in a while, with less than 10 points. It's just so strange. I was saying this last episode, but whoever is playing running back for Chicago is startable because they just they feed that man. It doesn't matter if it's Khalil Herbert, who has a pretty good profile, but it doesn't matter if it's Herbert, if it's Damian Williams, they're gonna get there. Fields just looked really, really, really bad. I mean, like he looked better like than he has, but he just doesn't look startable out there. I mean,
not ready.
Yeah. I don't think he is either, and they're not using him enough. I mean, like he had like 40 yards here, but they're not using him enough on any like design runs like without what's possible where it looks like he's startable. So perhaps he's streamable in a really good matchup because he does have some upside like on the ground because he's very athletic. But yeah, he's not ready to be a quarterback in the NFL yet.
Not yet.
Any thoughts on?
But at least he's getting some time. I mean, he'll be better sooner than later because of it.
Yeah, and like this is just progression. I mean, like this has to happen at some point. It's just unfortunate seeing it when we had higher hopes, I guess. So, any thoughts on Chicago, or you want to go to Green Bay?
It's going to Green Bay. Okay. Devonte had his like fewest number of targets in I don't know how long.
And he's
but still came down with 89 yards. Which led the team.
Yeah. So I watched this game, like almost all of it. So Adams had like almost all of his points from one play. It was like a 40-yard catch where he like broke 2 tackles and then stepped out at like the 30, but had like 30 yards of like green space, and he stepped out by like this much. So there's a world where Devonte has 4 for 120 and 1, and we're like he's a stud. So I mean, of course, for Devonte, you expect more than 13 points, but like if he gets there on that, it's not like a 20 points for him. So I mean, he's obviously a stud. Wide receiver going forward overall, not much there. But once again, AJ Dillon, he's been either a very big factor in the rushing game or the receiving game every week, but never both. So I mean, like, what are your thoughts on that? With Dillon getting 11 efficient carries?
I just think that they're just preserving their guys, by splitting up the touches. This is a playoff team that wants to be fresh for the playoffs. They understand that's how you win. So I think that Jones is getting spelled for that exact reason. And Dillon can take it. I mean, he's a big boy.
I
So get
mean,
him in there and just let him beat up on the defense and get some reps.
this man's quads, bizarre. Like not capable of most humans to get that big. But yeah, I mean he's a stud. Shout out Joshua DeGuaru, the third round star out of Cincinnati with one catch for 4 yards. Absolute legend there. Taking over guys like Darnell Mooney, taking over guys that would help the Packers, but they don't help the Packers because they're not on the team. So great draft there. That was sarcastic. It's Devonte Adams and it's Aaron Jones, and that's about it. Rodgers gets there on the ground frustratingly, but I mean that just happens with Aaron Rodgers. Even in a game where he throws 23 times, he still has what? Almost
2 touchdowns and
Yeah.
almost 200 yards.
Yeah, and one on the ground. So, he's that guy. But I mean, going forward, is it just the same thing of you're playing Adams and you're playing Jones and Rodgers and that's it? Is it that consolidated, or
That's
is there
it.
anybody else that you're interested in? Yeah.
No, that's it. I would not trust anyone else. I mean, Dylan is certainly rosterable, but he's not startable
Yeah.
unless you're absolutely desperate because of injuries and buys.
Yeah, I do think if Dylan is not picked up, I mean he should definitely be rostered because he probably would walk into a workhorse role if something happened to Aaron Jones, and he looks like he might have some value standalone as the season progresses. But as of right now, he's just a stash. So do you want to move on to the next game?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's go to Cincinnati and Detroit. Cincinnati crushed these guys.
The spread was like 3.5, wasn't it? That's kind of funny. The spread was like 3.5 points.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but so let's look at Detroit first because I had a couple notes here. T.J. Hawkinson, so he was coming off 2 bad games. Hawk has 8 catches for 74 yards here. This is like he's the quintessential mid-tier tight end because this is what he's capable of, but like obviously like scoring too because he is going to be this team's second leading pass catcher behind DeAndre Swift most weeks. But being on such a bad team with a bad quarterback, there are going to be weeks where he just sucks, like it has 2 weeks in a row. So yeah, I mean this team is going to be behind a lot, throwing a lot. Hawks going to get there more often than not. And then once again, DeAndre Swift, 5 more receptions for 43 yards, and he gets there on the ground. Jamal Williams was just 4 carries. I mean, it's Swift season. He is actually very, very comparable. I mean, not like play style wise, but like him and like J-Rob are like close, in my mind at least. I mean, Swift is easily top 10 in full PPR. I'm a huge fan of him, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Detroit. Anything?
A lot of the same. Swift is definitely you're right. That's the perfect comp for J-Rob. He's right in that range. Low end or mid range RB1. Certainly in PPR, he's got the boost. Finds the end zone again, even though he wasn't efficient on the ground. But that's going to be this team, like they didn't put up a lot of points today, but usually when they do, Swift is going to be a part of them. Chris Evans for Cincinnati is interesting to me. Do you want anything you have to say about him?
Okay, so the scene is 2018. I'm watching, true story, the very first night game at the Big House at Michigan. It's Michigan versus Minnesota. We drive all the way from Elkhart, Indiana up to Benton Harbor. It's a whole thing. It's a torrential downpour out here. It is absolutely miserable. We're in ponchos and we're walking. My Crocs are squeaking as I'm walking here. Shoes are talking. It's awful. But we pull up to the stadium. Only Minnesota fans in our entire section. And we watch our asses get kicked by Chris Evans the entire time because he kept repping off big rushes over and over and over and over. And he, I don't know, he probably had between 300 and 400 yards at halftime, but I lost track. But anyways, we're leaving the game halfway through the fourth quarter because it was a fucking beating. And we hear once again, we're walking out halfway down the street, going to our car, and we hear, and again, Chris Evans for the long touchdown. I'm like, oh my God, this motherfucker's a beast. So that being said, I've seen it firsthand. Chris Evans has big play ability. His profile wasn't too great, but it was very incomplete. I mean, anytime a running back is capable of doing what he is, which is big splash plays, you want him and you have interest in him. But I mean, with Mixon on the squad, if Mixon's healthy, obviously he's the guy. But I mean, if Evans did get a workload, he does have the dual threat ability, and I have interest in him. So yeah, long story short, yes.
Yeah, so dynasty appeal for sure, and maybe even redraft stash appeal, similar to an AJ Dillon, because Mixon has shown that there is a workhorse role on this team, and he's already shown some injury concerns, so it's a long season.
Yeah. And Mixon, by the way, a monster game here with almost 100 yards on the ground and 5 catches for 59 and 1 through the air. So I mean, Mixon just shaping up to be the workhorse that I've always wanted him to be. If he can stay on the field, obviously. Jamar Chase, almost 100 yards. He's going to be top 15 probably rest of the season. He's a total stud. Your boy T Higgins with kind of a stinker. I mean, any thoughts there? Do you prefer him to Chase going forward? What are your thoughts there?
I think it's just going to be a lot of 1A, 1B. Chase is getting there on the deep ball, but Higgins is more of that possession guy. So they're both going to have their values, just going to be in different ways.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And this Bengals team looks legit. They look really, really legit.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, this is a poverty franchise at the end of the day, so like you can't really trust them because they're the Bengals. But I mean, if they're gonna be throwing efficiently with these great receivers and not giving up 11 points in the game, this is a pretty scary team. So shout out Bengals.
Shout out Bengals.
Yeah.
Let's get rolling here. Houston, Indiana. Not a lot to say except you can start Brandon Cooks and that's it from Houston.
And it's literally every week. Like we get here and we're like, okay, Houston scored 1 point. I don't know how it's possible, but they did. And Brandon Cooks did this. It's like it's every week. He's just a stud. Always will be. That's pretty much it. But man, Jonathan Taylor,
crushed.
10 yards per carry plus on the ground, 2 touchdowns.
Broken 83-yarder, 2 touchdowns. What a game. I think he only had like 4 carries at halftime, but then that must have angered him because he showed the best that he could with those last 10 that he got.
He has he ends the game with 15 touches, and he ends the game with a whopping 30 points. So that's a pretty good ratio. Yeah, I mean, not much to say.
Yeah.
Wentz was very, very efficient, and he looked startable because I mean he didn't throw a lot here, but he has high passing volume upside with some decent weapons and a good line. I mean, 2 QB super flex. You can look at him, but yeah, I mean, not much to say here besides JT's a stud.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it. We should go to the next game.
Let's do it.
Keep rolling. Rams crushed the Giants. Another huge game for Stafford. 254 touchdowns. 2 to Kupp, 1 to Darrell Henderson, and 1 to Robert Woods. Woods got that touchdown early and then not much else. He only had 2 receptions. I think he had a total like 5 or 6 targets. Kupp was just the monster again with 13 targets, I think, but 9 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. There was a red zone opportunity for the Rams where Darrell Henderson had 2 chances to get into to get in the end zone, didn't do it, and it was 10 or maybe more, and lo and behold, Cooper Kupp makes it in. Just shows that he's the guy in the last ditch situations, when it crunch time kind of stuff. But also it shows that Darrell Henderson is going to keep getting fed the ball because he showed that he can also break them long with a 25-yard score through the air in this game.
Yeah. So I mean, we kind of already did this, but Devonte Adams, you'd rather have over Cooper Kupp rest season probably. But past that, he's probably number 2. I mean, like
right now, they're the 1 and 2 for sure.
I don't know who else you can make the case for, but maybe Kupp. Like I thought his volume was a mirage to a degree, but he's just getting fed over and over and over and over and over, and he's so clearly the 1A on this incredible team. But if we're looking at like 1-to-1 comps to J-Rob, the guy has to be Darrell Henderson. I mean, like he's getting there in both ways. He's incredibly consistent. I mean, him and J.R. are both fringe RB1s. Probably top two of red season, both of them. I mean, like Henderson is getting all this work on a great team. He's gonna
Yep.
get there. Woods once again scoring. I mean, Woods is startable, but he's clearly taken a backseat to Cup, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
do you see them like swinging, or do you think it's gonna be Cup Woods, Cup Woods?
Yeah, a lot of that. Cup Woods. Cup is just he's that piece of the offense that's everything else helps him get open, and that's why Stafford can find him because the offense is made for that position.
Yeah.
So at least that's what I think.
Yeah.
Woods has a role, but it's not the possession role. Not as much as it is Cooper Kupp's.
No. And so obviously Stafford with a great game, but John Walford with an equally impressive game. 0 completions and 1 INT. So shout out him for fantasy points. But looking to the New York Giants, Daniel Jones, he throws the ball 51 times, and none of them go for touchdowns. That's not a great ratio, but this is why we love Danny Dimes, because he does this, and he plays awful, but everyone eats. Shepard eats, not really. Like nobody really eats, but except for the defense. But Daniel Jones, he's always going to be startable because, like, sure he got the shit end of variance here, but he really is like the new Jameis, but like with less volatility and more rushing upside, I guess. Because like this is like just like off the dome. He's had a game with 50 passing attempts, a game with 50 rushing yards, a game with 10. A game with 400 yards, a game with 10 yards per completion. Like, he does it all. What's up, y'all? He does it all. He gets there like whatever he wants to. And he's gonna be streamable because he has the upside no matter what. I'm not advocating to play him ever because he does this a lot, but he definitely has the upside more than guys in his range, like fucking Big Ben. Like every time, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, go ahead and pay Danny Dimes. Is what I'm saying.
There you go. Shepard, I mean, he's playable, especially now Tony's out probably for a couple weeks at least. He aggravated his ankle. So just going to be Shepard and Jones. Yeah, if you need a desperate streaming option, that's how I view Jones. But I get what you're saying with like the Jameis Winston comp.
Yeah. And like, I mean, it's fun to make fun of them, but it's also fun to like play those guys and like watch the game and be like, okay, like what's happening now? He's
Yeah.
like 8 yards downfield and oh shit, INT. Well, there we go again. Like it happens all the time. So, but yeah, shout out him. You wanna move on?
Yeah, let's go to Washington and the Chiefs. I was hoping to see a little bit more of a competitive game. Heineke kind of stunk it up in the second half. He wasn't very good in the first half either, but we would have wanted to see more out of them. McLaurin had a few more deep shots that he just didn't come up with, so he only ends up with 4 for 28.
Yep.
Yeah, not the greatest game, but the opportunity was there. So you got to keep playing him. He's easy wide receiver 2 rest of the way.
Ricky Seals-Jones gets there. So it's looking like whoever is in that Logan Thomas role is going to be playable because they're going to be the wide receiver 2. McKissick's so frustrating for Gibson owners, but this is his role. I mean, Gibson is just in so much trouble. He's in so much trouble. He has 2 catches for 0 yards versus McKissick's 8 for 61. McKissick has more rushing yards than him on less carries. Just a disaster. But I'm pretty sure your top scorer in fantasy is still Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, like it doesn't look as pretty as it usually does, but he's still 1A, 1B with Kyler Murray. Because he's going to do this. If Pat Mahomes is going to throw 47 times, he's going to be quarterback 1 overall. So there's that.
400 yards, 2 touchdowns, great game.
Of course, and a 30 on the ground, which is, I mean, like that's not abnormal for him. That's kind of like in range of outcomes. The 2 studs get there with Tyreek and Travis Kelce. But what was like really frustrating to me was so we see CEH getting all this like empty volume, and then of course, not even Damian, Darrell Williams comes in and is very inefficient with 2 TDs. That's just a damn shame because CEH should have been that guy, but you know what are you gonna do?
he's just built, like he's already done it for Andy Reid, and I think that's why he's. I don't know. That's just how they view him. When it's his time, he gets everything.
Yeah, unfortunate. Once again, so Mahomes, I mean, obviously he gets there through the air, but Mahomes has always had sneaky legs, 3 for 31 on the ground, better than most quarterbacks. So, yeah. Anything else here, or you want to move on?
Nope, let's keep going. Minnesota, Carolina.
This was a fucking sick game.
Wild game. Went overtime here. Chuba Hubbard was the top guy for Carolina. Looks like there was a lot of drops in the passing game for the Panthers. Only 17th for 41 was Sam Darnold. Did you get to see a lot of this, or is it just...
No, but I've heard about it on everyone's story because I'm in Minnesota right now.
Got you.
Yeah, I saw DJ Moore went I think 5 for 13 on targets. So I mean a lot of empty volume there, which will be converted because he's DJ Moore usually. Sam Darnold 4 for 48 on the ground. He's a really intriguing play. He's probably a QB1 going forward because he's been really efficient and he's getting a lot of usage on the ground, especially design runs. So I mean there's that. But I mean Kirk Cousins with a monster game, 403, 16 rushing yards, almost 50 passing attempts. He just gets there everywhere. Thielen, I mean, frustratingly, puts up 30 points against me in 2 leagues. Justin Jefferson gets there. KJ Osborne, who is proving a decent third option, gets there. Obviously, Dalvin Cook, but what are your thoughts on this Vikings passing attack?
I mean, Kirk Cousins has just been crushing it all season, so you just keep playing him until we have a reason to do otherwise. I mean, this is his third or fourth year with the team. There's a lot of continuity here. It's just kind of a well-oiled machine in my mind.
Yeah, and so I mean, in the past we had a very consolidated share, and we still do between Thielen and Jefferson. But I mean, do you see a guy like KJ Osborne kind of coming in as a tertiary piece in games like this where they're throwing a lot and being playable, or do you think this is more of a mirage?
No, I think that he's certainly rosterable. And in a pinch, if you need a flex play, I think that's the kind of role he can fill for you right now because they've shown that they do need to throw the ball. The defense isn't great. They had a pretty good game against the Lions, but that's about it. So they're going to have to put up points, and Osborne has the ability to break a big play. He's already scored a few touchdowns. He is going to be a part of the plans going forward, I think.
Yeah. So like you were saying about Jamal Agnew, Osborne, he was drafted essentially as a punt returner. He had a very interesting profile. I think out of Miami. I think I've already done this whole rant, but he's capable of turning these smaller plays into bigger plays because he's very elusive, very hard to tackle. Yeah, I mean Osborne, very intriguing. Any game where you're gonna have a close game script and potentially a lot of passes, Osborne could be flexible, I guess, because if he's gonna get 15% of 50, that's 7 targets. Yeah, and 7 targets with a guy like that, I mean, playable. So yeah, I mean, obviously, Cook comes back right away, almost 30 carries. Whoever is going to be playing running back here is going to be a high-end RB1. I don't care if it's Cook, Madison, whoever it is. But yeah, do you want to move into Carolina?
Carolina don't have much to say other than it was more of the same. I mean, Hubbard filled CMC's role nicely. So he's an easy plug and play while CMC is out on his IR stint. And Robbie got lucky with the touchdown, but he had a few really bad drops and is probably not someone that you want to start unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah, nothing changes. So even in a game where he has 8 targets that he doesn't catch, DJ Moore has 13 points. He's a middle wide receiver 1 going forward. He's a stud there. Darnold definitely playable, but I mean, besides that, you want to move on?
Yeah, let's keep going. Chargers and the Ravens. Just a totally different game for the Ravens. They put up a whole bunch of points, but it was all on rushing touchdowns this time.
Yeah,
and Lamar Jackson didn't get any of them. He had one passing touchdown to Mark Andrews. He also had 2 picks, it looks like. I only got to watch the StatCast, so I'm not sure kind of how those picks happened.
Yeah, neither did I.
And Marquis Brown and Rashad Bateman both get involved. I'm liking just every piece of the Ravens pretty much. I mean the backfield
That
is
backfield's a
very
fucking
spread
mess.
around. I mean, 8
This
carries for
like
Bell, 9 for Murray, 9 for Freeman.
in 2015, if you were like no 16, if you were like the one backfield is gonna have Devonte Freeman, Latavius Murray, and Le'Veon Bell, like you'd be like what the fuck? Like this is bizarre. But they literally all score in the same team for the Ravens. Just yeah, I don't know, very strange there. I mean, obviously, like Amar's gonna get there most of the time on rushing. He just gets unlucky here with touchdowns. But man, this poor Chargers team. Like after we've been talking about them every game for over and over and over about how awesome they are, they put up a big stinker. And this is why Keenan Allen is that guy. Even in a game where they score 6 points, he has 10 PPR. He's still this team's safest option. I don't know if I prefer him to Mike Williams, but he's definitely more safe because he's getting there on volume rather than efficiency. I mean, Eckler pretty safe too. Eckler with the stellar 6 for 7 performance on the ground, but he gets it like through the air. So, I mean, any thoughts here on Herbert's bad game?
Just a West Coast team that traveled east for an early game. Maybe came out a little flat and just wasn't ready.
They got their ass whooped though, like
Pretty much, and that's what happens. That's what
And
happens.
if there's any team in the NFL that's gonna like take advantage of that, it's the Ravens. Like they're just gonna run down your throat with a bunch of like superstars and yeah. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
not much else to take away from the game. Just kind of a throwaway game for the Chargers. You can expect more of what we saw earlier in the season, I believe.
Last note, it's looking like past the two receivers and Eckler, Jared Cook is the only other viable player. He scores again here. He's definitely streamable. I plugged him in a couple of leagues, so shout out him. But we can move
There
on.
you go. Okay, Arizona and Cleveland.
Arizona is really, really, really good.
They are. Murray was 20 out of 30, 4 touchdowns. Just awesome.
AJ Green, yes, that the same AJ Green from Cincinnati. He puts up 18. Christian Kirk essentially the same stat line. Nukic there with 2 TDs, but only 3 catches. Rondale Moore. I mean, this entire team just eats. James Conner with 16 big carries for 71 yards. Chase Edmonds with a big run. Edmonds was kind of lackluster like through the air, but I mean, what are you gonna do when you have 4 touchdowns go to different players?
Right.
Yeah. So Arizona as a whole, do you prefer them to every team in the NFL? Like would you rather have like Arizona or like okay, who's winning, Arizona or your Rams?
Well, they already took it to the Rams.
Well, yeah, but like
So,
you know what I'm saying.
but that was in Arizona. I think the Rams can definitely beat them. They just have to, play a better game. But they're certainly in the same tier for me. They're upper echelon of the NFC.
Man, like it's so hard when you have a team like the Browns that has this solid game plan every week, and you're like, oh, they're probably gonna win, and they just get their ass beat. Like it's not even close. It's like 20-0 in the second quarter. So, yeah, this team is pretty special. But I mean, once again, last note, James Conner, he's playable. They're gonna be up in a lot of games, and when they're up, he's gonna do this. This is his floor because he didn't score at all. But 8 points in PPR, you could do worse. 8 points in standard too because he didn't do anything good there. But yeah, Cleveland, anything here? I mean, a really weird game with.
Yeah, now Hunt's going to miss some time, so you got to look at Felton and Dearness Johnson as pickups for running back.
If I'm not mistaken, Felton is like 180 pounds, so I expect Dearness Johnson to be the guy going forward. But I mean, yeah.
Felton is going to be used in the pass catching role, similar to Hunt. He just probably won't get as much volume.
Yeah. Hunt steps right into the Nick Chubb role. Plus, I did study in the offseason where I was looking at his role without Nick Chubb, and it was a really, 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 really robust Le'Veon Bell as Steeler role. So whenever Trump's out, you're playing Hunt. I mean, obviously, but it just didn't work out here because he left early. But yeah. I mean, you can't really take away a lot besides DPJ gets big plays. OBJ gets big plays when he's out there, but he wasn't out there. Just a really weird game overall. And I mean, when you lose by that many points, I don't know like what you can take away. So yeah.
Yeah, very weird. Just and then with the Cardinals, to me, like Hopkins is the most trustworthy. Connor, like you said, is playable, but is going to have a relatively low floor.
Yeah.
Edmonds is like, I don't know. He was kind of a faller for me. I want to see him get more usage. Maybe they're just still nursing this shoulder thing, and they're winning handily, so they're just keeping him off the field. But something to monitor. Other than that, I'm ready to move on.
All right. Next game.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Vegas and Denver.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta start with Josh Jacobs like every time. He's the definition of a high end RB2. We're cool, 10 minutes. But he's gonna do this almost every time. So okay, maybe for the first time, like I would be willing to bet. Okay, no, actually not. I'd be willing to bet there's been less than 5 times where this has like ever happened. So Kenny Drake logs a 21% snap share. Okay, he scores 21.3 points. That's probably never happened to like a certain threshold, but I mean that's just bizarre. And even with that, Josh Jacobs still gets there with almost 20 points because Jacobs he's not a 3-down back, but like he has 11 catches in 3 games. He's getting 13 plus carries in every game. He's scoring. He's super consistent. I mean plug and play like every week, and like when he's out there, you can't sit him because he's kind of that dude. So.
Yep. Ruggs has 97 yards on three grabs. He's like a desperation flex play for me, like especially in like a deeper league. You could definitely do worse. He's shown that he's making strides towards being a better pro wide receiver. Yes. So hopefully some more consistent days ahead for him.
Yeah, Waller. So after Waller's 19 target week 1, he's had 5+ targets in every week. He had 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 5 or something like that. I mean, this is his floor. He has the upside of like legit like 40 points, but this is what he's gonna get on a bad day. You could do worse. I mean, he's probably still a top like 25 asset in all of fantasy because like he's pretty clearly tied in 2. I mean, given that this is his worst game probably all year at 11 points. So besides that, don't do whatever you can to move Kenyon Drake because this is not like a Cordell Patterson scenario where like he's actually pretty good and is getting like a snap share. Like he was a part-time player that just popped off. So I mean, move him if you can, but like you probably can't get anything for him. So yeah, just like don't fall for that mirage.
Pretty much. Let's keep going. Dallas, New England.
Oh my! I watched all this game.
Awesome game.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I was trying to say about like passing attempts, right? So this has always been the story for Dallas, but if you're throwing, so like I was never worried like about this team because they were always winning in really weird game scripts and just like hamming Zeke and hamming Pollard down their throat. And at that point, you can't get there if you're CD or you're Amari because like 20% of 20 is like 4 targets, and that's what they're doing like every time. But when you're throwing 51 times from Dak Prescott, everyone eats. Like it's just a numbers game. So when New England gets up early, you're like, holy fuck, it's time. Like I put like in the group chat, once New England is up, it's game over because Dallas is gonna throw like this many times, and like they're all gonna get there. So I mean, of course, CD, 30 points. I mean, just like from the air, he also like gets a carry. Zeke once again 7 catches. Schultz, Cooper, they all get 10 plus. Cedric Wilson. So that could have had 30 points at halftime, but he had 7. He could have legit had like 550 yards and 6 touchdowns. It would have been fucking absurd because he had 1 called back on the ground that he fumbled. He had 1 that was dropped off an INT and 1 that was taken back from PI. Like he could have had a fucking berserk all-time game, but he only air quotes had 30 points. Yeah, that was fucking nuts. But I mean, Dak's gonna get there because he's this guy. CD, he's probably above Amari at this point. I mean, since week 1, we've seen him blow up, I think, 3 times to Amari's 1. Zeke is getting all kinds of usage through the passing game, which is pretty encouraging. Yeah, this is just a great team for fantasy, and especially if they're going to be in a bad game script, air quotes bad game script, they're going to eat. So that's Dallas.
That's Dallas. You just gotta get any piece you can, and Dak Prescott's an amazing asset. From the Patriots side, Damian Harris showed that he is the guy. 18 carries to Ramondre
100 yards.
Stevenson's 5. So I think he's trustworthy again going forward as an RB2 play at flex if you need to.
18 beautiful carries that every time he got the ball knew it was going to be good. Like he's very 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 good. Like yeah. There's been a couple. I think that's his second touchdown this year where he's been in the wildcat on the goal line and they run back out, and it's just beautiful. He's getting very creative usage for a guy that doesn't catch passes. And yeah, I mean, I believe next week he has a good matchup too. Here, wait, actually, I'm looking right now.
The Jets.
Oh my God, yeah, auto star top 20 play. He's a stud. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, and like on paper, this was a bad matchup because like Dallas is really good, but he still gets there. So he's gonna be playable like every week, especially in non PPR or half PPR. So he's a stud. But yeah,
awesome. That's it for them. I mean, Jacoby Myers is safe, PPR play, but he can't score, and they take him away even if he does. So
that is yeah.
Just keep plugging them in though; they'll come.
This poor kid. They want him winning. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. Seattle and Pittsburgh.
All right, my turn. Najee Harris. So okay, this here. I'm actually 1 second. I'm looking right now to see what Derrick Henry did in like right now. Yeah, so Derrick Henry has 1 catch. So I'm gonna say something that might be controversial. There's no player in fantasy that I'd rather have than Najee Harris, like ever. Any asset, Devonte Adams, I don't care. Najee is in the left bell role, and then some. He's getting more usage than a prime left bell. That's really scary because left bell was one of the only players to achieve 23 points per game in full PPR. Najee Harris, 24 carries, 81 yards, not great, but 6 catches once again, and a touchdown through the air. He's done this every week very consistently, and his median production is now like 24 points. So yeah, he's the best asset in fantasy in my opinion. He's moving up and up and up and up and up, and I mean at this point, he is left bell, but maybe better. So I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
And still, Henry has 17 carries for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean he's a fucking beast, but
1 for 2 in the air. So what?
I mean they're I mean obviously like Henry like has this like crazy ceiling, but it's gonna be like legit hard for Najee to have less than like 18 points in the game now, because he's gonna get 5 to 6 catches, 15 to 20 carries, and he's probably gonna score. And his bare minimum at that point is like 20 points.
Yeah, he's definitely right there. I would still take Henry, but yeah, you're right. Najee's not far behind.
Yeah. And then once again, I've said this every time, but Deontay is wide receiver 1 when he's out there. He always has been, like always will be. He's not out there much, but like look at this: 9 catches, 71 yards. He even has a carry. He's just a stud. Dynamic, separation. He's that guy. So play him when he's there. And and so Najee does this, right? Najee has this like big blow up game when Eric Ebron vultures a touchdown. So there's a world where Najee has like 30 points here, and we're like, holy shit, he's a stud. He still is a stud, but it could have been better. So yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, what a wild play.
Real quick, so the 2 guys that we're talking about here, Derrick Henry and Najee Harris. I remember last year, Jonnu did that a lot against Derrick Henry, and now it happened to Najee Harris. So I mean, circle of life right there.
There you go.
Seattle, anything here?
Geno didn't look terrible, but he didn't look great.
Yeah.
23 for 32, 200 yards to score. No picks, which is nice against Seattle. But Alex Collins is the takeaway. 20 carries, gets over 100 yards and gets a score. He's a safe play, I think, and going forward. As long as he's on the field, they'll feed him.
Alex Collins looked really good too. Like just like the eye test, like he looked like vintage Alex Collins, like on the Ravens for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all remember that 2 weeks.
Yeah, he can play. Yeah, he can play.
But yeah, I mean, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf gets there kind of, but not quite. Are you concerned about these guys moving forward with Geno?
I'll play Metcalf because I feel like this is going to be the kind of the baseline here. 6 for 58 is probably going to be his average.
Yeah.
Um, but Lockett, I'm certainly worried. I think that I'm not sure what that's going to be like. Lockett just seems like he's Russ's boy more than he is a just kind of like a game breaker type of player.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to end this and then join real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. You gonna send it?
Yeah. Got you.
All right. See ya.
Thanks.
Anyways, well, here, let's I gotta plug in this phone real quick. Not phone. Guys, there's this girl. Oh my God, there's this girl. I want to ask her out. I don't know if I should. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow. I'm going to. I might. Should I do it? I'll ask Stick when he hops back on, cause that may give good advice. But I'm thinking tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Cause a shooter has to shoot. You know what I'm saying? A shooter has to shoot every time, or he doesn't make it. So I'm gonna go for it. But very unfortunate. I could not acquire 100 Gex tickets. I mean, I could have, but it would have been like 50 bones. They're playing First Ave, which is like right there. Tomorrow. And I could have paid like 55, 60, but I'm just not quite at that point for Gex. I love them, but not quite that much. I'm seeing Peggy in like a month. I'll probably see like a couple people per month, hopefully in the winter, because people will tour and it'll be cold and nothing to do. So that'll be fun. But I mean, shout out Gex, shout out Peggy, shout out Stickman here, hopping on the call as always. Here we go. Back at it.
Here we go.
All right. Where we at? We're talking about. Well, we were just finishing talking about the Seahawks, right?
Right. So the only game left really is the Buffalo Tennessee game. They're still in the fourth. The 4-point game.
It appears that Nick Westbrook, Hine just caught a pass from IU. Shout out him. No, fuck IU. Fuck everybody IU. Oh, is that AJ Brown with a big game? Or a bigger
7
game?
for 91. Not too bad.
Going forward, AJ Brown and Julio. How you feeling about those guys?
I think that they'll be pretty good, but not someone that I really want to trust. You just kind of, I feel like the game could just kind of go either which way at any point in time for anybody. So outside of Derrick Henry, I think they're playable, but they're going to be very, I don't want to say boom bust, but the variables are going to be high.
Yeah. I mean, outside of right now, just for people wondering, there's 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's a close game. AJ Brown has 16 PPR right now. Julio has 9. Derrick Henry just got another carry, of course. Oh no, he scored.
Henry scored.
Of course he did. So Henry now
just took the lead, 33-31.
Yeah. Derrick Henry has 40
3
now.
touchdowns.
It's bizarre. So yeah, I don't know about Najee Harris anymore. Holy fuck, man, he's so good. But Buffalo, what does it look like? Josh Allen has thrown 42 times. Diggs gets there finally with a score for the first time this year. He has a big game, 9 for 90 and 1. Cole Beasley gets there with a score, 6 for 80 and 1. Manny Sanders with 4 for 60. Dawson Knox got hurt. I think he has a concussion.
Okay.
No, his hand. Yeah, he got hurt. Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, nothing. Singletary has 5 catches for 16 yards, but it's kind of the usual suspects here for Buffalo. So, any thoughts there?
Not really, other than, just to me it's more of the same. I thought, Cole Beasley has always been that safe PPR guy, and he got a little bit more today. What did I don't even see? Oh, Julio's 3 for 59.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not bad either. It's just kind of average, and that's probably what's going to happen. This is a good defense too, so Titans putting up quite a few points against Buffalo is a good sign going forward. So maybe they run even more efficiently now that especially if they have all 3 pieces of the triangle going. between Henry, Brown, and Jones. There's I think maybe they all help each other because they're all on the field, kind of thing.
Yeah. Tennessee has scored 4 touchdowns. They have run 49 offensive plays, and Derrick Henry has 3 touchdowns out of the 4, and the only touchdown that wasn't Derrick Henry was vultured by Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, this is it's scary. This is a top 5 offense, and he gets everything on it. So it's looking like more than ever that he is the heliocentric piece in this offense, where it runs around him like it always has been. But like last year, like AJ Brown has games, and like Jonnu scored like some, you know what I'm saying. But like this year, it's been just Derrick Henry, somehow even more than the previously. So yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, he's iconic. Anything else here, or do you want to do some risers and fallers real quick, just like on the spot?
Sure, let's just do those.
All right, one sec here. Let me end this.